Oh, hello everyone, and welcome to 2026. I'm Mitch Colton. I'm joined by Levi Thurston for this month's episode of Between Two Techies.
Mate, welcome. It's already been a big year, lots of stuff going on, and we're only halfway through February.
Yeah, I feel like January started with a bang and then went to sleep again until after Australia Day, and now we're back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I guess do we want to start with
The first big
the,
headline.
the first big headline about ASIC
Yeah, so
finally showing their teeth to the SMEs.
Yeah, so Levi and I talked about this a bit last year. That ASIC have got quite upset with companies having multiple data breaches. Words like egregious get thrown around. Um, I'm going to summarize it as lack of caring. And basically, companies are not doing all that they can, or taking all reasonable steps to mitigate their losses and
Yeah.
to protect their data.
And this first big, I guess, watershed case that they've issued this fine for, uh, it's some basic stuff that they didn't do that they know they should have and just didn't. And some of it is the simplest things like multi-factor authentication. Just have it in place for your organization. It's not an overly complex step to add in or to get your organization to have done.
Oh, not at all. And I guess I'm just gonna read an excerpt from the ASIC media release from the 9th of Feb. Um,
Yeah.
Australian fixed income specialist FIIG Securities Limited has been ordered to pay 2.5 million in pecuniary penalties after ASIC brought a case against the firm for failures to protect thousands of clients from cybersecurity threats for more than 4 years. FIIG's failures worsened a 2023 cyber attack, which saw around 385 gigabytes of confidential information stolen and highly sensitive client data leaked into the dark web, including driver's licenses, passport information, bank account details, and tax file numbers. So, for those of you that are new to joining Between Two Techies, that's the holy grail of personally identifiable information.
Yep.
If I
They
have
have.
that, I can go and start signing up for debt.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, is you've got 100 points of ID there. There you go. Bank loans, credit cards, all sorts of stuff that can be taken out in someone else's name. They can run up your bad debt. They'll run off with the goods, and you're left stuck with the consequences.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
they basically got a massive cachet of it.
and so I guess the background here is it's not that they had one incident and a bad thing happened. It's the fact that from 2019 until 2023, they had multiple incidents and they didn't do anything to remediate from each incident, or not enough to remediate from each incident. And they happen to have a double whammy of holding an Australian financial services license. Um,
Yep.
Levi, what's it like holding an AFS license?
It, the standards and levels, especially around security data, are absolutely stringent. And especially since the introduction in February 2019 of the heightened Cybersecurity Act, especially around those in financial services, you are required to meet a higher standard. They are expecting it. You, like, as someone who works in the financial services industry, you should be held to a higher standard. You hold so much information and data about individuals and companies, even proprietary information. If that stuff gets out into the public eye, it can cause major problems, not just for companies, but for individuals. And there are real life consequences that are to play in that. So that's why ASIC are, well, showing their teeth, going, you know what, this is systemic. It is
Yeah,
a constant series of events where they did nothing.
and I think it's important to, I think this is going to be a bit of a water. Oh, I mean, we've said watershed moment so many times on this podcast already, but
Yeah.
um, I think a lot of people are going to, certainly boards are going to sit up and go, "Oh, this is real now," because
Yeah.
because it's not real until someone gets fined or someone gets sued. Now someone's been fined, and on top of the $2.5 million, there's 500,000 of ASIC's costs they've got to pay. Plus, you would assume that their costs are probably of a similar amount of money.
And you'd probably also, it'd be probably fair enough to say, if there's not already, there probably will be soon a class action um, from those that have been affected uh, down the supply chain, whether it's direct clients or third parties related to those clients. Um, so it's going to become a big event for that company that's had that fine. Uh, let's see if this is the first in a long line, because between ASIC and the OAIC, uh, they're talking and they're looking at these instances. Is it a one off? Is it a systemic ongoing issue with these organizations? Uh, that is going to be the biggest telltale sign of what happens next.
Anyway,
So
I think this is not going to be the last one we see this year. I'd say it's going to be the first of many, and
yeah,
no doubt we'll be talking about this more in the coming months.
I yeah, I think we're going to see multiple. Absolutely. Um, it's interesting that they really went for it, which I think is not necessarily a bad thing. You need to make a splash at the start in order to warn people, going, "Hey, get your house in order." And some of it is the most basic thing. When you start to read
Like,
through it,
it's talking about just not having MFA on stuff. Like we're in 2026. I know I've been talking to my clients about MFA since 2015.
yeah, yeah. I think the first time I saw MFA come up in regards to cyber would have been around 2018, 2019, where it became like one of the key questions for cyber insurance. So it's not a new thing. It's been around for long enough now that anyone who's in business should be fully aware of it and should be adding it in. They should be adopting it.
Oh,
Um,
oh, totally.
but when I was reading through further of the information in what was released, one of the things that they didn't do, which is one of the most basic things that I saw. Let me just find it here. What did they say? Uh, timely patch management, of all things. Um, do you want to elaborate on the patch
Yeah.
management stuff,
So
mate?
so software vendors release updates to platforms and systems from time to time. Microsoft generally has Patch Tuesday, Patch Wednesday. Um, yeah, nominally it depends on the product and platform. Could be monthly, could be quarterly, whatever. Generally speaking, a vendor releases an update, sends out a thing called like a release notes document that says, hey, we've released this update. We fixed these bugs. We introduced these features. And if it's related to some security bugs, they will say patch immediately or patch at your earliest convenience or patch within the next 14 days. They generally give a recommendation, but on top of that, there's also what your internal patch management policy is. And look, the thing is, like in time and time and time in cyber attacks and every post-incident report I read, it's talking about, oh, there was a known vulnerability that was 2 years old and was not patched. There was a known vulnerability that was 18 months old and was not patched. So we're not saying you need to patch the day of. We're talking about people not patching 18 months and 2 years later.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And the thing is, well, takeaways that I look at it: get good IT support from your trusty local MSP. I know a guy.
Can you let me know who that is, Levi? Likewise, if you need a broker, mate, I'll let you know.
Thanks.
Um, look, I think the thing is there's a lot of pushback, and certainly in these larger firms like FIIK. I was at the ASIA Sydney conference last year, which is the Security Industry Association, and there's a lot of pushback now in this always on environment of, but we can't have a patch window, we can't have an outage, we can't have downtime because our management, our board, our stakeholders expect the platform to be up all the time.
Yeah,
The reality is we need availability, but last time I checked, like for example, we at Colton Computers run a production web server. We had to reboot it. We sent out a notification, rebooted at 3 a.m. this morning. It was
Yeah.
back online by 3:06. No one cares. As long as you let everyone know when it's going to happen,
Yeah.
it's not an issue. The big four banks do it. Like
Yep.
I bank with two of the big four, three of the big four, and I get a
Yep.
notification saying, "Oh, our mobile banking app's going to be offline between this time and this time on a weekend."
Yeah.
So what?
Um,
Doesn't matter.
we had it last night for ourselves for our broking platform. It was down from 9 to 3. So, updates and security patching and all that sort of stuff. And it needs to happen. It's something that,
And it shouldn't
in
be
all
scary.
honesty, the
It's
excuse of saying shareholders expect better, it's not going to fly.
no, and the thing is too, look, and we talk about these 18-month, and we'll change topic in a second because we're going down a rabbit hole, or I'm going to
Yeah,
preach, one of the two. Probably both. Um, if you're only patching once every 6 months or once every 12 months, it is scary when you roll patches because there's a lot of updates and there's a lot of chance for stuff to go wrong. If you're
yeah,
patching weekly or monthly, it's like there's one update or two updates to apply. If
yeah.
something goes wrong, you roll it back and you know exactly what caused it. Instead of if you're doing 6 or 8 at a time, it's like it broke. I don't know which one
I
broke.
don't know.
Oh
I don't know
no, this
why.
is hard. This is scary.
Yeah,
I don't know where to go.
yeah,
So anyway, I guess probably the big news, the big news certainly within the IT industry, and it has a flow-on effect to the general public, generally through the stock market,
yep,
is we may have heard that there's 600. So the big four of AI. So that's Google, Microsoft, Amazon, and Meta. And Meta owns Facebook and Instagram. For those of you
yep.
penny at home, are investing 660 billion US dollars this year in capex in building AI infrastructure.
Hmm.
So for let's for rough context here, $660 million is about US is about $1 trillion Aussie, depending on the exchange rate the given day of the
Exchange
day.
rate at the time, yeah,
The
but pretty
entire
close.
Australian federal budget is 700 billion Aussie.
Yeah, so,
China only spends 300 billion US on their entire defense force every year.
yeah,
They're like we're talking a phenomenal amount of once in a generation investment here. So what that means for everyone, I'm not Levi and I are not here to stock tips and speculate on whether there is an AI bubble or not. But what that means though is that there's a lot of infrastructure getting built to support AI.
yeah,
That means there's a lot of RAM being used. There's a lot of NVIDIA CPUs being used. Um, and there is a global shortage of RAM, and that's memory in your computer.
yeah,
Um, we've seen on a project that we're working on at the moment, we've seen about a 60% price increase in a server from November last year to now.
yeah. So it's the supply and demand thing. So it's kind of like what happened through COVID, where, supply chains and that started collapsing and dropping. And then all of a sudden, there's a vacuum that creates, massive, like the supply becomes very, very shrinked. Demand is very high. Prices skyrocket, but then you always worry about the drop.
Oh, look, it'll normalize. We're expecting that it's going to peak in just September to December this year. Don't know, but sort of expecting. Um, China is building some new chip fab, like memory chip fab capacity that should start coming online later in the year, and that should help. But I guess what that means at the moment is that a lot of IT projects can be getting dearer. AWS had their first price rise in a product ever.
Oh, right.
They have never had the price of a product. They've introduced new higher priced products, but they've never
Yeah,
had a
but they've never
SKU
actually
go
done an
up.
increase on their
Yeah,
existing
they've never had a SKU
slate.
go up. And their GPU intensive AWS instances went from low 30s to high 30s a month. I think I saw yesterday. So, we're talking 32, $33 a month. That SKU's gone up to 37, $38 a month. And
Well,
we're
this
assuming that we're
is
going to see more of that happen because those the big four that I was just talking about,
uh,
which are all part of the Magnificent Seven. But they've got to try and get their $660 billion investment back.
yeah, and how that's going to look is anyone's guess. But also, this brings up an interesting, from a risk perspective, of
That's like your pet topic, isn't it, mate?
oh, it's our favorite topic always. Um, when you have this sort of vacuum of supply of goods, theft and black markets open up quite significantly and very quickly. Uh, it'll be interesting from like the insurance side of things to see how insurance responds to this in regards to
Oh, you're talking
um,
about five-finger discounts and things falling off the back of trucks.
yeah, huge amounts of loss of actual physical assets in the IT and cyber world. So that's going to be interesting in of itself just to see what that looks like.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I think I'm less exposed to that side of it. I'm expecting to see probably a lot more people trying some new things, probably taking some riskier approaches because,
Mm.
hey, I need to buy some infrastructure, or I need to buy a cloud service or a SaaS platform that is underpinned by a cloud service or whatever, and the price just went up, and now I'm going to try and run my business without it or take a lesser product or whatever. Um, and I think we're going to see some, just more operational risk in businesses because of that. I would have bought my engineering team, expect workstation that used to cost me 5 grand. That same workstation is now costing me 8 or 9 grand. Can I really justify that? Do I
Yeah,
take the punt on the productivity here?
yeah, and that's going to be an interesting thing, especially contractually for a lot of organisations. If they've got contracts that are based on timescale and performance, if they're having a credit crunch, so to speak, relating to buying their IT infrastructure that they need for the project. I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out through the year.
Oh, I do too, and I think it's interesting. We've already had one or two instances of it, where we're talking to clients and they haven't allowed for an increase in IT spend for the year.
Yeah,
They're just like, oh yeah, it'll be what it was last year because, traditionally, with technology heads towards commoditization, and so the price
yeah,
comes down. But the reality is, the underlying AI compute, physical RAM costs are actually pushing it up.
yeah. And then you've also got the thing that was big through many news outlets over the last few weeks about Microsoft increasing their the cost of their subscription services
Yeah, and look,
broadly.
Microsoft's been doing that. Microsoft started 2 years ago doing that, and you know, uh, everyone was like, they can't do that, but all they're doing is they're putting CPI on it, and they're doing every
Yeah,
6 months. They're just doing a CPI adjustment. Um,
yeah,
and
and
interestingly, out of those four companies that are investing 660 billion, Microsoft is the only one that has enough positive cash flow in their business to fund their investment without debt.
without doubt,
Yeah,
wow.
Alphabet, which is Google's parent company, is talking about raising $20 billion in 100-year bonds.
Oh wow. Okay.
So, I mean, I'm look, I live and breathe the Microsoft ecosystem. I have a love-hate
Yeah.
relationship with them, but very
Is
stable.
Apple divesting it all into?
Apple's playing the interesting, like there's been a whole lot of conversations about it. Apple's approach at the moment is that AI will become a commodity product.
Yeah,
that I will just go and buy a Claude, or I will go and buy an OpenAI, or I will go and buy a Gemini, and I'll buy it like a SaaS subscription now. Oh yeah,
yeah,
I want this model. It costs me $26 a month. I can plug it in, job's done, happy days.
yeah,
Um, and so Apple's taking the approach that, they're following on from their approach, which is we own the customer, we own the data, we own the transaction. Because remember, most of Apple's money comes from transactions through the App Store,
yeah,
and we wrap it, secure it, and give a great user experience. Whatever
yeah,
the tech underneath it is whatever the tech underneath it is, and it doesn't
yeah,
really matter. We'll use the best product for it. In time, will they maybe do their own thing? Possibly, but I think they're waiting to see the AI market mature. I guess in similar way to Microsoft all their AI stuff. They made a reasonable investment in
Yeah.
OpenAI in the early days,
But
but they
but
didn't
it's
build a model from
funny the
scratch.
way Apple do approach this sort of thing. And I heard someone actually say the phrase, and it was a really interesting turn of phrase, and it sort of really stuck to me. And they're like, Apple for the, I guess the global IT smart technology infrastructure sort of thing, they're kind of like, it's like sexy Santa. They're
I
like,
don't know
it
if
it
that's the
looks
economic
exactly
impact.
shiny and beautiful. It's wrapped beautifully. Like, do you know what I mean? They do
Yeah.
that very, very
Oh,
well.
it's a very the whole experience. Like, you talk about client experience or the customer journey or whatever. Apple's customer journey is very frictionless, is very
Yeah,
nice, is very consistent, and is very polished.
yeah,
Um, like, and I think the thing is, Apple's not really chasing the business market. They get enough of it anyway. But
yeah. They're
it's sort of
doing more of
like,
this direct consumer stuff.
yeah, it's like they own the customer.
Yeah,
Microsoft owns the company, Google owns the search, Meta owns
yeah,
the social media, and
yeah,
AWS own the infrastructure that all the other crap lives on. Like, that's sort of where
yeah.
it's all
But
sitting.
yeah, if you need to buy a physical thing, you're using AWS through shipping logistics and
Yeah,
bits and
well,
pieces. Yeah,
yeah. So anyway, I think that's enough to talk about for the start of the year.
a great way to start.
Yeah. Look, I think it's going to be an interesting year. I think I think looking back on this in 12 months' time, we're going to have seen um, we're going to have seen AI play out a lot more. I think we're starting to see some people that are using it well. We're also starting to see some people that went in really hard, spent a heap of money early on that are not getting the returns that they wanted because maybe they didn't use it in an appropriate way. Um,
Yep.
but yeah, I think we'll see that mature. Um, I think we're going to, obviously continue to see an uptake in cyber insurance and more mature cyber risk across organizations over the year. Is it going to be fast enough for Levi and I? No way. But I think that's probably my predictions for the year. You got anything to add to that, mate?
No, mate. My big thing we talk. I think we say this at the end of every episode and every sort of event and thing we hold. Get have a plan. Get cyber insurance. Have good IT management.
That's pretty much it.
Like the song remains the same as far as that goes.
Oh,
That doesn't change.
none of the fundamentals have, mate.
No. So
Anyway,
I think that's still my mantra going into this year. And in all honesty, everyone needs to realize AI is a tool. It's going to expand. Um, Start learning about it and start understanding how it works and how it could work for you. Uh, the whole anti-AI movement, I think, is either going to leave people in the Stone Age or it's just going to leave people behind. So you
oh,
need to
it's
sort
not.
of get a grasp around it and how it's going to
Oh,
work in
totally.
your world.
It's not scary. It's just, and a lot of, like, there's so much opportunity. Like, I'm talking to clients over the last couple of weeks since we've all been back. There's so much opportunity for just automation. It's like it's 2% AI and 98% process automation, but
Yeah,
it all ties together. And I think there's going to be some big productivity improvements seen. And Australia's had a problem of we have low productivity, so it's like if we want to get higher productivity, that's the way to do it.
yeah, exactly. And I think from the early days of it so far, um, it's filling the gaps, which I think is a great thing for it to be able to do. The things that people that they need someone to do, but they just can't get the staff or whatever it may be to do it. It's
They're being
filling
too
gaps.
extra, or they're being too inefficient. Like, we found internally, there was a whole lot of things that we would like to do, but you could never justify paying someone to sit there and do it. That's like that's the
Yeah,
perfect use case for AI.
yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Oh, very good. Well, we'll see you next month. I guess the things coming up. Levi and I are doing cyber sips and security tips tonight in Dubbo, 5 o'clock. So we're recording this on the 12th of Feb, so that'll be exciting. We're doing a lunch and learn with the Orange Business Chamber on the 28th, I want to say.
25th I've got.
25th of Feb, 12:30 to 1:30 at Quest Orange. We're talking all things sunshine and rainbows, cyber and AI now. It'll promise it'll be full of sunshine and rainbows. I'm speaking at the Atmosphere Conference on the 5th of March. I'm on a panel with Home Affairs talking about, I don't know, supply chain, contingent liability, cyber insurance, really light, fluffy stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, look forward to seeing you all next month. Thanks, Levi.
Thanks, mate.
See ya.